let's watch The Office.
No, Lenny, we watched it so many times. Let's watch the new edition, The Office Apush.
Manifest Destiny was the belief that Americans had the right to spread throughout the entire North American continent. This forced Native Americans to move into reservations that became smaller and smaller as time passed by and killed buffalo, which were their main resource.
I have to do something called Hippo. Historical context. The Manifest Destiny was an ideal way of thinking which led to the concept of expanding land all the way to the coast through what is now known as states such as Texas and New Mexico. Intended audience. The Mexican-American War was meant to make America better since the more land meant better opportunities for American citizens for agriculture purposes and factories. Point of view and purpose. After President Polk had sent John S. to Mexico City in order to try and buy New Mexico and California for up to $30 million, but soon was rejected. After that, the president sent troops over on April 25th. 16 were injured, and Polk stated, "Invaded our territory and shedded American blood on American soil." Outside information. Soon after the war, America obtained new territory, and issues whether those states should be free or not, along with other issues, led to these factors. These factors led to the Civil War.
Mexican-American War, huh?
You know what I think about the Mexican-American War?
What?
First, they make us move to Oklahoma in a trail of tears, and now they're putting our kids into boarding schools in order to make them more white. And they're saying that if we get in the way of their progress, they're gonna remove us.
Right? We let them into our land and we said don't bring in slaves, and they brought in slaves. Now they want to kick us out,
Unbelievable, man.
right?
Hi, Pam.
Thunder Miffin, this is Pam.
South, we want the Mexican territory that we want to be free.
No, we want slaves. Yeah, that's fine.
Right? Yeah, the compromise was pretty neat on my part as a northerner, including some of the benefits that we gained from this. What? Turn around.
So what do I think about it? Well, sure, things are tense now, so why not agree with the compromise of 1850? I mean, yeah, the North got the most benefits, but at least we got the Fugitive Slave Act, which means I basically get to keep any runaway slaves, so. No slavery for Nebraska.
No slavery for Nebraska.
Slavery for Nebraska?
I'm sorry, you just put in 2 ballots?
No, I didn't!
Ryan Dred Scott is free because he was in the free territory of Missouri, and he deserves to be free with the rest of his family.
But Dred Scott is still a slave. And by definition, slaves are property, and he is still property no matter which state he's in.
Where does it say that?
According to the Constitution of the United States of America.
And the verdict is not free. Scott, are you okay?
What was the case about? Well, it was about my freedom and how me and my owner went to a free state, and I had a family there, and I'm obviously supposed to be free, but then he died and sent me with his wife, and we went to a non-free state. So the trial was about me, my freedom, and obviously I'm not free anymore, as you can see. How much paper did you sell today?
Probably 3 packs or so?
Come on, guys, let's fight for freedom. What are you doing?
Go sell paper, John.
Well, what I was planning on doing was having African Americans come in and steal some weapons and, you know, fight for their freedom, because there's been too much discrimination in the U.S. and I feel like it's unfair, and the only way that we can do to change it is by using violence.
John, get back to work.
Hello, this is your President Abraham Lincoln, and as my first act as president, we will be solving the slavery issue.
Nice dog. Seems to be though. But anyway, if you ban slavery, we will secede from the United States and make our own union called the Confederacy.
What do I think caused it? Well, we have the failure of the Compromise of 1850, Dred Scott, the rising tensions between the North and the South, and its constant disagreements, and Fort Sumter, which was the start of the Confederacy, blocking Fort Sumter and not letting them get their supplies from Abraham Lincoln. And bam, Civil War. All right.
Well, this is the first year of the Homestead Act. We have this person throwing wood into fire so they can survive.
4 more years.
And if we keep on walking by, the years gone by, and we have this one over here getting ready to grow crops. Hello. Hey man. Jim, what are the two most famous battles in the Civil War?
I don't know, Dwight. Why don't you tell me?
Well, fact, the most bloodiest one is actually called the Antietam Battle. Alright? And then the second one is called the Gettysburg Battle, which actually was the farthest the Confederacy could ever get to the United States to the north.
Okay.
Did you know that? You obviously did it, Jim.
Right. So there was this whole thing, the Civil War with, Lincoln was in there and the...
Civil War? Did someone just mention the Civil War? What do you know anything about the
Okay,
Civil War, Jim?
Dwight, I have something for you. Okay, I prepared this for you.
Go for
The
it.
Union victory in the Civil War and the contested Reconstruction of the South settled the issues of slavery and succession, but left unresolved many questions about the power of the federal government and citizenship rights. The Reconstruction era began in 1865 and lasted until 1877. It was a period after the Civil War where the states of Confederacy were being controlled by the federal government and where rights to African Americans were introduced. Lincoln attempted to unify the country again by giving speeches like the Gettysburg Address to show that the struggle against slavery as the fundamental of Americans' founding democratic ideas. Lincoln also tried his 10% plan. A southern state could be readmitted to the Union once 10% of its voters swore an oath of allegiance to the Union. It was an attempt to weaken the Confederacy. On 1865, April 15th, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated at Ford's Theater by John Wilkes Booth, making Andrew Johnson the new president.
Congratulations, Jim. You can use the Google. I couldn't think of it.
Dwight,
What, Jim?
1865 African American rights. Later that year, on December 6th.
Whoa, hold on, Jim. You're going a little too fast there.
And that's what she said.
The 13th Amendment is passed, which abolishes slavery. Following the 13th Amendment were the Black Codes, which restrict the rights of African Americans in southern areas. They were first enacted in Mississippi and South Carolina. Mississippi required African Americans to have evidence of employment each January, but if they quit before the contracts were over, they would have to pay back all the money given to them during their employment and they could have been arrested. South Carolina, African Americans were forbidden to have any jobs other than farmers or servants unless they paid yearly taxes of $10 to $100.
Because of the Civil Rights Act, you now have rights, excluding the Native Americans.
Yay.
Not on my watch.
Hi, I'm here to vote.
Just because the 14th Amendment lets you vote doesn't mean I'll let you vote. So read this.
But I can't.
Then pay the amount.
But I don't have money.
Get out. Cropping is very common in the South now, and you're going to get 40 acres of land. But don't worry, this fails because the owners get everything. My name is Rutherford B. Hayes, and as president, I'm going to end Reconstruction and withdraw federal troops from the South. Wow, that was a great movie! I know, right? But that was just one of the parts of American history, Lenny.